Welcome to the Writing for Change Challenge. This challenge gets your students writing 200 words of non-fiction on important global issues, using short videos for context and guided questions. Once your students have written their 200 words, they combine text, images, and design formatting to create their very own Adobe Spark page. Finally, once students publish their Spark page to create a unique Spark URL, create a Wakelet collection in the Writing for Change Wakelet space and invite your students to upload their work anonymously to your collection via the link provided. Now it's time for our live stream to see how the experts do it.
Hi folks, and welcome to the International Writing for Change Challenge, where Adobe is partnering with Wakelet to challenge teachers across the globe to encourage their students to write 200 words on a range of different topics. My name is Tim Kitchen and I'm Adobe's Senior Education Specialist for the Asia Pacific region, and co-hosting with me today, and I'll bring her up to the screen, is the wonderful Juliet Bentley. Juliet is the English and Religious Studies teacher at Mount St Michael's College in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. She's also an Adobe education leader and the Adobe Master Teacher for the Asia Pacific region. What a great title, Juliet. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Sweltering, but good.
I've heard the weather is pretty warm up in the north, because I'm down in Melbourne and it's just beautiful today. And you're up north in Brisbane and it's pretty warm and humid.
Very humid, frankly. See, I'm walking around with a fan. I like to play, delicate, but it's not. It's practical.
That sounds very royal of you, Juliet.
Yes, maybe I should do the dangerous liaisons thing.
Maybe there's a bit of a royal theme about to happen during this session. Our special guest for this session is the very well-known Chris Betcher, who works for the Google for Education team as a project manager. He's also an Adobe education leader emeritus. Now, Chris, that sounds like a very royal title.
It does sound very regal, in fact, Tim. Regal, I think is the word you're searching for there. Yes, thanks. Thanks, Tim. Thanks, Juliet. Thanks for having me today. Thanks for inviting me.
Lovely. And of course, you're coming all the way from Sydney. So we're covering most of the east coast of Australia between the three of us.
That is correct. But you guys have all the nice weather. It's pretty awful here today. So, yeah, you win.
Before we find out what Chris has done with his 200-word challenge, let's have a look at some of the topics that students can choose from in this challenge. Juliet, I'm just going to bring up to the screen the Writing for Change website, and let's just go through this, and let's see what we've got as I start scrolling through. What are these badges here, Juliet?
Well, they're the different badges that you can be gleaned or gained over the challenge. Now, many schools have been in part of this challenge for the last 4 weeks, and this is our last 200-word Writing for Change live stream, and the challenge itself ends on December 11th. So you still have time to participate and gain those badges. So the invitation's there for you. And we will be hearing about Chris's thoughts on the monarchy, but there are some other interesting topics to stimulate your students and to position their audiences through that thoughtful process and the choice of words. So it'll be interesting to see what the questions are. Tim,
well, there's a couple of videos here before we have a look at those topics. One is from Dom, who's been managing this event worldwide, and one from Wakelet too. You probably, we'll be playing the Wakelet one at the end of this session just to show you how to get your challenge up into Wakelet and what Wakelet is all about. Let's have a look at some of the challenges. What's the first one here, Juliet?
So should we have to wear bicycle helmets? Now, as you'll see on the page, which is tracking at the bottom of the screen, you'll see that there actually are stimulus materials there. So each set of stimulus materials includes a video for students to watch and then respond to.
Good. So that's the first one. The second one?
Could we end plastic production entirely? That was an interesting question. That was yes. Thank you for that, Chris.
By the way, we should wear bicycle helmets too.
Yeah, well, we should. You've got an opinion on everything. Let's see what you've got to say.
I'm going to give you an opinion on all of these, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And Juliet, it was interesting. We had Jackie French, wasn't it, who did this topic, and she argued that you actually shouldn't be ending plastic production entirely. We still need some plastic. It was an interesting side to it. It wasn't one way or the other.
She was talking about biodegradable plastics, things like made out of milk. I didn't know that's possible. How can drivers be convinced to use public transportation? That was Shelley, if I remember rightly. And that was only a few weeks ago. Again, interesting questions. Should we produce more renewable energy or reduce consumption? Chris, have you got an opinion on that one?
We should definitely reduce consumption, and we should definitely produce more renewable energy. That seems like a no-brainer.
Well, it does, but apparently at the moment we've got we're being addressed by, I think, the OECD, suggesting that Australia, it's incumbent upon Australia to do something because we have such opportunities with renewables. So junk food, healthy food. Christmas is coming and holidays. Another opinion, Betcher?
Yeah, it's a good idea to eat healthy. I don't need 200 words for that.
That picture always makes me feel hungry, though.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Can veganism change the world? The 4 questions that direct this actually are really quite thought-provoking, and they look at the implications for our health system in terms of the meat eaters, and how that can have an impact on people's health. So that's an interesting one if you're curious about that. Oh, should there be monarchies?
Yeah, well, there you go. That's your one, Chris. We're going to be hearing from that very soon.
Yeah. And should international flights be banned? I don't think it's really an issue at the moment. The chance of us being able to fly internationally is
pretty slim.
Pretty slim for the moment, at least. This is probably my favorite. Should homework be replaced by acts of kindness? Totally believe that makes far more sense. We're supposed to be building these whole people, not just, disciplinarians in science and maths and English. So yes, I have an opinion on that one. And should smoking be advertised on social media? This was Brett Salakis's response as well. And he was talking about how there was product placement hidden in social media, which I thought was very interesting.
Do you know?
Yeah, I almost picked that theme. It's an interesting one, that one. But
it is. It's interesting too. When I was first starting teaching in the early 1990s, there was actually a dedicated smoking room for the school that I was at, for not just the teachers, but also for the students. Can you believe it?
When I was at school, we had one too. We had a special rec room when people could smoke in there. It's really quite amazing.
That's how old we are, Juliet.
Yeah, thanks. I think I'm still older.
I can remember one of my teachers smoking a pipe in class every day.
Oh, hold on a second. Actually, thinking about how old we are.
And what happens when you submit over 1,000 entries as a school?
Well, you end up being included in the Writing Guild, and there are different badges accordingly. That will be something that you'll hear more of in the last video as we end the show.
Well, I think I should appreciate that. I obviously haven't yet. So I'm appreciating that site. And Juliet, I'm now bringing up a Spark page. Well, I'm bringing up a Spark, what do you call this? The dashboard. Lovely. And for those of you who haven't used Spark before, it is spark.adobe.com, or just do a search for Adobe Spark. And most people tend to be using Spark through a browser of some sort. I'm using Chrome here, and it works beautifully on Chrome. All the features work beautifully on Chrome. And you do need to log in. So you go to the login and you can log in with Facebook or Apple or Google or even an Adobe ID. But if your school has an enterprise agreement with Adobe, you can log in with your school account, because obviously you do need to be 13 or over to log in through the other accounts. So just check that your school's got an enterprise agreement, and that way all the 13s and unders will get access to Spark. Top left-hand corner. Sorry, Julia.
Also, they're also available on your telephone as apps, and they are really easy to use, and on your iPad. So fabulous to work in just within the app. It's very quick.
In fact,
Did you just call it a telephone, Bentley?
Shut up.
It happens. Hey, when you click the plus symbol below the Spark logo on the top left-hand corner, you can see a number of different things that you can create with Spark. Flyers, Instagram stories, Facebook posts, collages. All of those are under the banner of Spark Post, a desktop publishing solution for your app or for your browser. What we're focusing on is web page, which is Spark Page, but notice there's also video capabilities here, which is Spark Video. All very simple. In fact, I still claim today, I'm yet to find a more simple way to make a video that has all the features of Spark Video, and it's just wonderful to see the simplicity of all the Spark tools. But let's jump into a web page. When I click on web page, it's just loading now and it's asking me for a title. Chris, your topic is about the monarchy. Should I just use the word monarchy?
Should we have a monarchy? I think was the title.
Should we have a monarchy? How about I just use that as the title?
I will tell you.
Should we have a monarchy? And notice I could add a subtitle. In fact, I will. I'm just going to say Chris Betcher. By Chris Betcher. So there's my subtitle. And it's a pretty dull sort of start to your website. It's looking for some color. And they say
I didn't want to say anything, Tim, but yes.
They say that it's as simple as looking for the plus symbol, and down the bottom center is the plus symbol. When you click on the plus symbol, it's encouraging you to add a photo. And if I click on the photo banner, you can see on the right-hand side, there is room to upload any photo that you've got. And just be careful when you're uploading photos for something that could be published on the internet, because if you don't own the rights to that photo, you could be breaching copyright. And just be aware that often if you're just downloading any images from the internet, they are likely to be copyrighted. You really shouldn't do that unless you know that they're royalty free. So what we've done instead of, or as well as uploading your own photos, we've got this lovely section here called Find Free Photos, which is a direct link to Unsplash and Pixabay, two great sources of royalty-free images. Royalty-free, Chris, that theme.
I was going to give you a photo you could put in there, Tim, that you could just upload the photo of Queen Elizabeth and I, but I haven't asked her permission, so you should probably just find it.
I'm doing a search for royal, and I'm not overly impressed with what, the two crowns.
Oh, no. Oh, here, the one that the chess piece is there with the king lying on its side. That's perfect.
Yep. That one?
Yep.
That's about right.
All right. I'll click on that one. You happy with that?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, perfect.
So once you've chosen your picture, you just click on it and then it becomes part of your title. Now, if I scroll down, you can see a bunch of other tools that appear. I can add more photos, text, hyperlinks, videos, any video from YouTube. As long as I know the link, I can embed that video into Spark Page. Any video from Vimeo and any video from Spark Video that you create with Spark Video, as long as you've uploaded it to one of our video servers and you have the link, you can embed that. In fact, today, Juliet, we're actually going to do that. We're going to go to YouTube. We're going to find a video about the Republic and throw that into the mix just to show how you can do that. We can have a grid of photos. We can have a glide show. In fact, we're going to feature a glide show today too.
Okay, that'd be lovely.
We've been featuring the split layout a lot, haven't we? In the last
we
few
have,
seasons.
and I think it's time to sort of shake it up a bit.
Time to move on a little bit. All right, so I'm going to use those buttons and I'm going to start building this Spark page based on what Chris has created. So Juliet and Chris, over to you.
All right.
So, Betch, I'll read the questions and you get to read your answer. This could be fun.
Okay.
We can discuss it.
Yeah.
So, are monarchies relevant in today's society, do you think?
So I was trying to... Do you want me to just read it, or do you want me to talk about it?
Well, no,
I'll start by reading
about it and then read it.
Well, the background is that I got this topic. I looked at all the topics, and I figured this would be an interesting one, and nobody else seemed to have done it. So I'm probably not a monarchist, but got me thinking about why I'm not a monarchist, because I never really thought about that much. About I don't think Australia should be beholden to the Queen of England, and I don't think the concept of a monarchy generally, it's never really resonated, but I didn't know why. And it wasn't until I sat and wrote this out and I started to really think about why, and that's one of the beautiful things about writing as a self-reflective process. It causes you to stop and think about some of your own ideas. Anyway, so here's what I wrote about: are monarchies relevant in today's society? I said, Australians pride ourselves on egalitarianism, the idea that all people deserve equal rights and opportunities. the idea that you're not inherently better than me and I'm not inherently better than you. Our racist past is enough of an embarrassment. Let's not make it worse by valuing the idea of a monarchy. And it wasn't until I thought about that idea of the egalitarian nature, which I think Australians have always prided themselves on, that, the tall poppy syndrome and, oh, come on, mate, who do you think you are? That kind of thing where we're all just equal. And when I started to think about that, and I thought some of the horrible things we've done to the Indigenous, people in the past that are clearly totally at odds with that idea of egalitarianism. And it really made me think about, how can you, on the one hand, hold up this idea of a monarchy and where you're effectively saying like one person is, quote, better than another simply because of a birthright, where you're holding another group of people, effectively oppressing another group of people simply because of who they are. And it seems so unfair to me when I stopped and think about it like that.
I think the thing I liked about what you wrote was it was unequivocal. You made your opinion about the topic incredibly clear very, very quickly. And you used like a triplet. You used 3 short statements, basically, which was a great hook. I think that worked really well. But using words like our racist past, embarrassment, worse, you were positioning your audience, but you did it in a way that was inclusive because you talked about it being us and we, not you. It's our past and we need, and that you maintained that all the way through, which I think is really effective because you haven't actually offended monarchists because you give them a crumb in the process as well. Do you like the picture that Tim's chosen for you?
I didn't offend the monarchists. I need to go back and revisit this.
I think, well, one of the things I was going to ask you was, what was the biggest challenge about writing 200 words? Because I think...
when you said to me 200 words, I thought, oh, yeah, okay, that's fine. Like, I've blogged for a long time. I've done lots of writing. I enjoy writing, but 200 words is not a lot of words. And, and I was going to play games with this, and like you said, 200 words, and the assumption would then be you have, there's 4 questions, so you have 50, 50, 50, 50. And I was going to play some games with that and like write one of them, which was literally 1 word, and then use the other words somewhere else. But I decided not to do that. So each of my answers are exactly 50 words. That was interesting, and I maybe it comes from being on Twitter for so long that I do think a lot about the limitations around writing. When Twitter was 140 characters, like I used to write exactly 140 characters and make the most of it. Now it's 280. I tend to fill all 280 characters on most tweets because that's a limitation. And so working to 50 words was actually really, really interesting. That wasn't what I originally wrote. I had to go back and trim and rethink and say, how can I say this in fewer words? And which words are really not important? Totally. And I think a lot of that skill actually came from so much use of Twitter, to be honest. So, I think that's a really interesting writing tool. Yeah. And there were things there like that third sentence, the idea that you're not inherently better than me and I'm not inherently better than you. It would have been more economically, like in terms of words, more economical to say the idea that we're not inherently better than each other. I could have said that same thing in fewer words.
Wouldn't be as effective,
but it didn't have the same impact as saying I'm not better than you and you're not better than me. There was a certain symmetry about that, a certain
rhythm,
meter, and a rhythm to it. Yeah,
totally. We probably ought to go on to the next question, though, Tim. Okay. And I really enjoyed that. That was entertaining.
So with the next question, Julie, I'm just wondering, should we do a glide show just to do something radically?
That'd be a really good idea. I like glide shows.
When I do that, notice a little add symbol again appears underneath what we've just created. And then I can choose the glide show option. And when I do that, let's do that again. It allows me to then choose an image. So Chris, we need to choose an image. The next question is a monarchy a force for good? So maybe if I do a search for monarchy and see what comes up.
Or sometimes maybe search for the word like crown or royalty,
queen,
crown,
use some of those other words.
Actually, that's another good point about choosing the right terms for a search, because that makes a difference. It makes it it can save your journey.
Any
I
of
like
those
the fact
working
that
through?
your voice was so clear through your writing, Chris.
Thank you.
Particularly, again, that use of three. And when we come to this next question, your response to that, it was very succinct. You having those three really short statements again was quite powerful.
So, Juliet, I've just chosen that picture just for the sake of it for the moment. But when you click save, it becomes the background to this glide show. And now this panel appears over the top. And that panel I can keep on the left, or I can move to the center, or I can move to the right. So
Magic.
I've been using Spark for ages, and I didn't know you could drag a Spark box around like that. Is that new?
No, it's been around for a little while.
Didn't know that.
There you go. I taught Chris Betcher
away with the
something.
win.
I'm very happy with that. And with that little box, I can bring other photos, text, buttons, or videos
This is a
into
good place
the
to put that video.
We might do that in a sec. Let's just stick with answering this question first, and maybe we'll do the video. So I've got the question there, but I might change it to a heading 2.
Good idea.
And then bring in the response. So do you want to go through the response now?
So
Sure,
is a monarchy a force for good? Go for it, Chris.
You want me to read it? Yeah. So the question was, is a monarchy a force for good? I wanted to focus on that word good. So I wrote, good for whom? The paparazzi? The gossip magazines? Unless you count nostalgia, most people living under a monarchy are completely disconnected from these outdated, anachronistic, and undemocratic institutions and receive virtually no benefit whatsoever. In the 20th century, dozens of monarchies have been dismantled. The world kept turning. Good riddance.
Wow.
And I wanted to tie, I didn't have enough words because I was restricted to the 50, but I wanted to get more repetition in there of the word good. Like good for whom? Good for the paparazzi, good for the gossip magazines, and then finish with good riddance. So there was kind of that reflection of the two goods, but there wasn't enough words, so I took them out. I think it still works.
I think it still works, but it's good for students to know that that's a technique that you can use, and it's a powerful one that's used a lot for persuasion. When I was talking about you not offending monarchists, it was that crumb of nostalgia that you gave that I thought was a crumb, but at least it didn't leave them totally out in the cold. So the idea of unless you count nostalgia. But you also didn't pull your punches when it came to the complexity of the language you used either, because outdated, anachronistic, and undemocratic. You do like the three, but those words would be good for our students to hear because they're not dumbing them down, and you didn't. And I think that that's actually really a very important thing to do, to remember that we shouldn't be limiting our students' vocabularies by not opening them to these new words or words they're not as familiar with, keeping in mind it's aimed at a middle school sort of group. So and good.
Well, when I was doing some research for this, I didn't realize that in England at least there's I forget the number now, but there's a huge amount of public money that's collected through taxes that goes to funding the upkeep of royal palaces. And I stopped and thought about it. What do the people paying those taxes really get out of it? And you could argue that it attracts tourism to England and all that sort of stuff. But, there's any evidence that the people who come to see the royalty wouldn't have come to England for something else anyway. So I don't know. I think there's a real nebulous kind of connection there about.
You jumped in on that one before I got a chance to. The idea of, the money raising opportunities. But no, it's interesting. That's good. That's an interesting point. And I think that the other thing I liked about this was, it is quite strong. It is a controversial question, and you're not just being meek in your response to it. I think that that's important to show students, particularly, how powerful language is. And as long as you can support your points of view, then your point of view is valid.
I did like that statement. In the 20th century, dozens of monarchies have been dismantled, which I learned from research. But then I thought I liked the end of that where it says the world kept turning. Like it's just a really simple statement that just, like we took away these things and nothing happened.
And that is also the reality. People hate change. And I think that the fact that you are so logical in that particular statement is stating the obvious, but it's doing so in a way that is, what do you call somebody who states the obvious?
I think you call them someone who states the obvious.
I think it's really important that you do that, because we do sometimes need to be reminded the world will continue to roll. It will, and gravity will continue to drag. So I think it's an important piece. Next question.
Well, Juliet, should we put the video in now? Do you think?
Oh yeah, let's put the video in now.
As I scroll down, the buttons appear, and there's my video button. And before I click it, I'm just going to show you what we looked up on YouTube, and we found a couple of videos that relate to the Republic. We haven't viewed them properly, which we probably should have. Australian Republic, why not now? So that's
love being
a good one. 17,000 views 5 years ago. This one's more recent, no doubt. Which one do you think, Chris?
Probably that's one you're on, no doubt, Australia.
All right, so I'm going to click on that video, and we'll just get through the advertisements.
I think, Tim, it's probably a good idea also, once you've shown them how to put it in, to embed it, to also use the same video maybe as a button.
Sure.
To show how a button can be added.
Great thinking, Juliet. So there's the URL for that video up there, or we could go to share and we could find the shorter one. So I'll copy the shorter one. And now that I've done that, I can come back to Spark page, and there's my video button, and I can paste it into the video button, add an embedded video. It reminds you can do this with YouTube, Vimeo, or Spark Video, and then click save. And so that video now gets embedded into our page. And Juliet said, let's do a button as well. So I'm going to go add and go button and do exactly the same process and paste the URL there and give the button a name, Republic.
Place it in the middle. You've got options.
There we go. That'll do. So let's go into the next question. Let's go traditional here, just in case Dom, who's watching this, isn't happy that we haven't done the split layout. He loves the split layout. So we'll go split layout.
Yeah, he actually was good about me chasing him on it last week. That was good fun. So, is it fair for a royal family to receive money from the country's taxes? Well, we know that you don't think it is, but tell us more, Chris.
I'll define fair. Right?
No.
So what I wrote was, we should pay taxes for many reasons. So we have roads to drive on, schools to educate us, hospitals to look after us, and a safety net to take care of us in our times of need. That seems fair. What's fair about paying taxes to support an entitled family?
Use of a rhetorical question. And
that's why you're the English teacher and I'm not.
And I also like the fact that, again, it's that whole the questioning, raising an issue that people can ponder for a while. I thought that was very powerful. And I think also the idea of popping into people's pockets. We should pay for these things, and we should pay for roads and for hospitals and for schools.
Well, and maybe we should pay for, Windsor Castle too. I don't know. But the thing is, I get benefit out of having access to a hospital. I don't get benefit out of not having access to Windsor Castle.
No, you just have to go to England. So,
we're picking on poor old Lizzie here, but there are monarchies all around the world. It's certainly not the only one. There's tons of monarchies.
There are, and I think that was also
not as many as there used to be. I think we've lost 20 or so of them this year. Oh no, this decade, century, whatever.
Yeah. No, I thought that was really effective. And the last question: do you believe your country should have a monarchy or not? And
hang on, Juliet. What format would you like for the last question?
Oh, I think we go. I'll just stick it in normally. I mean, we haven't done a basic text yet, I don't think.
All right. Let's go traditional.
Traditional. Given it's the monarchy, I suppose we should end that way. Hey.
Go for it.
Yes, go.
Oh, to you, I did.
So the question was, do you believe your country should have a monarchy or not? And my country is Australia, so I answered on behalf of my country. And I wrote, Australia was founded by those who simply laid claim over the land with little regard for the civilization that had lived here for thousands of generations. while we cannot rewrite history, we can lay claim to our future. And our future does not need a monarchy in it.
I think that the recognition, particularly of our Indigenous traditional owners of the land, was really important. And I think also it's a bit of a wake up. I think it's very important to draw attention to the fact we're talking about people who've been here for so many thousands of years.
Right.
And I also liked the hope that you have in the ending. I think that, while we cannot rewrite our history, we can lay claim to our future, and our future does not need a monarchy. I think the fact that we can lay claim to our future, we can do something, we can make choices. I think that's absolutely key. And I think that was very powerful as an ending because it's hope-filled.
Thank you. Yeah, it actually made me quite cross the more I thought about it because, and I don't know if they actually said it, but I have this mental image of, arriving in this strange new country and getting the flag and plonking it into the ground and going, I claim this country in the name of the Queen or the King or whatever, which they probably said, right? And how dare you? How dare you come to a land where it's not empty? There are people here and you stick this flag in and claim it on behalf of someone who thinks they have a right to it. And that just made me really angry.
No, I can understand that. And I think that also the fact that Aboriginal Australia wasn't seen as a nation, whereas the sense of nationhood in America and in Canada, so they were treated differently. And the fact that up until relatively modern history, the 1960s, Aboriginal people in Australia were under the Flora and Fauna Act. And that just breaks my heart. So I think that the fact that you drew attention to such powerful connotations was really important. And I think that it's particularly given that we're doing this as an Australian group, leg of this Adobe project, I think it's important that we take the opportunity to look at that too. So justice is very important there.
Let's have a look at it in presentation mode. Hey, take it back to the start. So at the very top center, you can see a few buttons here. Just note this button here is the invitation button that actually allows you to collaborate with someone else. If you want to do this as a collaboration project, you just put their email address in and the 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 of you can actually work on the same project together. Notice the share options here. If we were going to publish this, we could publish, well, we do need to get it into Wakelet, of course. You go publish and share the link, and it gives you a few options. Notice with Chrome, you can also turn it into a PDF document by clicking the print button, and we can send it straight to Google Drive as well, which is a new feature and worth exploring.
Hang on, Tim, explain that one to me. I haven't seen that one. That's brand new. What happens when you send it to Google Drive?
Well, let's find out.
Great.
Let's find out. There we go. I just put in my Google account and away it goes. Now, hopefully I haven't mucked things up here by doing that. Let's see what happens. Yeah, I have slightly. So we'll just have to bring it back up again. So it's taking me back to the desktop, is it? Or is it taking me back to... Thanks, Chris.
No, impossible.
Oh, dear. So
well, that's cool. So it actually stores the Spark in your drive now?
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
I did not know that.
Now, if I go to present, this is what it would look like if it was actually published on the internet and you had the link and that you could send to Wakelet. But how about we go through it from the start?
That's a really nice idea. Hold on, let me just move this out of the way because I'm playing with 2 pages. Okay, so should we have a monarchy? Look at it from the beginning. Are monarchies relevant in today's society? And then you have Chris's answer.
Go for it, Chris.
You want to read it?
Oh, you want me to read it again? Australians pride ourselves on egalitarianism, the idea that all people deserve equal rights and opportunities, the idea that you're not inherently better than me and I'm not inherently better than you. Our racist past is enough of an embarrassment. Let's not make it worse by valuing the idea of monarchy.
Is a monarchy a force for good?
Good for whom? The paparazzi? The gossip magazines? Unless you count nostalgia, most people living under a monarchy are completely disconnected from these outdated, anachronistic and undemocratic institutions and receive virtually no benefit whatsoever. In the 20th century, dozens of monarchies have been dismantled. The world kept turning. Good riddance.
And then we have the video and the button.
Yeah.
And is it fair for a royal family to receive money from the country's taxes?
We should pay taxes for many reasons. So we have roads to drive on, schools to educate us, hospitals to look after us, and a safety net to take care of us in our times of need. That seems fair. What's fair about paying taxes to support an entitled family?
And do you believe your country should have a monarchy or not, and why?
Australia was founded by those who simply laid claim over the land with little regard for the civilization that had lived here for thousands of generations. While we cannot rewrite our history, we can lay claim to our future, and our future does not need a monarchy in it.
And then you get the credits, which is fantastic, because obviously they're coming up from the choice of photographs you made earlier.
Lovely. Well, Chris, thank you so much for your contribution. Anything else you wanted to share before we do our closing messages and our little video from Wakelet?
Whoops.
No, but it just struck me, like I just realized when I read that back again, how I opened in the first question with making a connection between the monarchy and Indigenous Australia, and then
Yeah, you bookend.
unconsciously, I actually closed the whole thing with the same connection as well.
No, I think that's very powerful. Again, it's one of those things that's it's a great technique, a writing technique. So thank you.
Didn't know I did it.
Well, thank you very much for your contribution to the 200-word writing challenge, Chris Betcher. We appreciate your support, and I'm sure you have inspired many teachers to now set this as a challenge for their students.
So
Thanks,
that's
Tim.
it for the APAC edition of the live Writing for Challenge streams. You can see all of them on the Adobe Education YouTube channel, though.
Join us live on Wednesday, the 16th of December for, and there it is, Inject Creativity Live. That'll be our last session for 2020. And again, this will be on the Adobe for Education YouTube channel on the 16th of December. And this will actually be a special feature about the Adobe Creative Educator program, which now involves over 12,000 teachers. And I'd like to just point out at this point that we recently reached on the Adobe Education Exchange our 900,000th member, which is rather exciting.
That's
Nearly a
incredible.
million.
That's true.
And close.
And
Yep.
yeah, it's been fantastic. Thank you, Chris and Tim.
Pleasure. Thanks for asking.
We'll close this session with a special video from Wakelet that explains more about the Writing for Change challenge and how to get your 200 words published via Wakelet for the world to see, because an authentic audience for our students is going to make such a difference to the quality and the involvement and motivation for their writing. So I think, Tim, I think we should end surely with the thumbs up, don't you?
Before or after the video?
I think after.
After the video. Let's play the video now and we'll do our thumbs up and then we'll do a screen grab.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Adobe for Education and Wakelet Writing for Change challenge. This is a fantastic opportunity for you and your students to tackle educational, thought-provoking writing tasks together as a team. Step 1. Create your Adobe Spark content. First, explore 10 Adobe Spark writing challenges. Here you have a variety of topics to choose from, each one offering an opportunity to students to access quick, short, guided writing practice. Complete the writing challenge on Adobe Spark, publish your piece, and copy the link. Step 2. Getting started on Wakelet. You will be submitting your students' writing challenges inside of a Wakelet collection. So how does that work? It's super simple to share your content with your learning communities within Wakelet. Follow the collaborative link to access the space in which your entry will be submitted. Once you're in the space, create a collection. Give it a cover image and title it the name of your class and the name of your school. Step 3. Creating a collection. This collection is where you'll add your students' writing challenges. To do this, click the invite button within your collection and share the anonymous code or link with your students so they can start adding their amazing Spark writing challenges inside of the Wakelet collection. It's as easy as that. You must qualify for one of the 3 levels. First is the bronze level, which is a minimum of 30 entries inside of a Wakelet collection. Second is the silver level. This is a minimum of 250 entries. And lastly, the gold level. This is a minimum of 1,000 Spark entries inside of a Wakelet collection. Not only will you receive certification for you and your students, the first 20 entries to reach 1,000 submissions will become members of the Wakelet Writing Guild and receive exclusive online recognition. Put your writing caps on and get ready to get involved in this amazing Adobe for Education and Wakelet Writing for Change challenge. We can't wait to see all of your submissions. All the best.
Well, there we go, folks. That is it. Let's get our thumbs up. Hey, we've got a smaller screen, so let's change the screen a little bit. No, let's stick with that one. There we go. That's a better one
to get
go
a
with.
screen capture. This is it from Australia. Oh, that's a good one.
Lovely. And I'm just doing some screen captures. I'm just going to do one more screen capture while we say goodbye to everybody. And with my thumb up, there we go. All right, thanks, guys. See you another time.
Bye.
Bye.